What is happening, everybody? Welcome back to yet another episode. Oh, the music's still going. Getting funky.
Liking that now.
I might start freestyling over it. Yeah. Shall I actually do it? Shall I spit a few bars about a football podcast? No, I can't be bothered. People only judge it. Well, so Kanye, can you feel the love tonight? Are you feeling the love we're getting on the comments so far?
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Everyone is just being so positive with it. I'm loving it. And there's so many people that have good points that we're getting messages and people that we've had our first guest on.
We have
indeed. We've got a few more that want to come on. Connor, I seen him last night. He's got a nice one he wants to get on with. There's a few of your friends that want to get on. We're talking. Marco's just sent me a video.
Has he really? We've got to get Big Paul de Silva on. He'll tell you himself about the lotto boots and various other really funny stories. We've got a mate of mine, Dan Johnson, over on the Merseyside, Liverpool. He's a Sunday League referee, 10 years Sunday League refereeing. So he's got some cork, as he said, to come on and tell us about some funny stories. And we'll get his opinion on all things really, refereeing and the rules and the rule changes and all those things. So yeah, really loving it. We've not even experienced our first troll yet. We haven't had any shitty comments yet. So let's try and keep that going. I don't really want it. Do you?
No, not really. No, let's keep it positive. It's a positive football space. Just because we disagree does not mean we need to resort to that rubbish.
and here's what people got to remember. We should all remember this. I don't wake up on any day planning to hate on anybody. So people can have different opinions. You can be respectful to each other, and we can do the same. So you've got a subject you want to have a little chat about on today's show. Am I right?
Yeah. So basically, I'm asking you, as an ex-striker who's just getting back into it now.
So with my earphones on, did you say as an excellent striker? Yeah.
Yes, as an excellent striker. It's my lips. What would you prefer to have? A team, unit, or individual talents in your squad?
Oh, see, here's the thing. You didn't, when you said what we talked about today, you said I'll throw it at you on the episode, but basically it will be what's better, like a team or a talent, right? So I wrote the banner and I put it up. Now you've moved the goalposts because you asked, it's two questions. What is better and what would I prefer as a striker is an entirely different frame of the question. And it's a different answer to the question, right? So you can't, you're sneaky, Kanye. Kanye be more sneaky? So.
And you just answer the question.
I shall try to do that right now. So, but what is better? Better is a team unit, right? Case in point, teams like Greece going to winning the Euros. No real star players, well-organised, good team unit. What I would want to see out of a team is a good unit where everybody knows their roles. There's no point having, and we just recorded an episode a couple of days ago, about wonder kids that never made it. No point having people like Ravel Morrison or whatever in your team that have that exceptional talent. Yeah, sure, they'll have their moments. Sure, they'll have their glimpses of brilliance. But if they're going to fail to do their defensive responsibility or track their runner or drop back to help out, the midfielder or the fullback or whatever, that's no good. Surely you're normally better in a team unit to play cohesively together. Everyone knows their roles. Everyone knows their marking, whether you're zonal or man for man on corners, your patterns of play, what type of press you have or don't have, or how you play out from a press. Surely better. Everybody knows that. And what you get is a load of 7s and 8s consistently. What have I just dropped? 7s and 8s consistently every week is surely better. However, you tricked me because as a striker, you are relying on that service. Now, if that team unit is down to a T and is able to lay on chances for you, be it crosses in the box or through balls, but a striker loves a midfielder with a little bit of magic, an individual that can open the defence, unlock defences with a little magic pass. So it's two entirely different arguments there, depending on whether you want to see a team unit. Next year, we have, so referring back as I do to my team, West Ham, we do have the likes of Paquetá, and we have Kudos, and we have people like that. And you love to see somebody like that. And actually, he's a good example for the next talking point we're going to go on to, isn't he? Right? Whether a team needs that type of player. But I think I would be happier with a well-drilled team where the youth are included, everybody plays an 8 every game, and we get consistency. Whereas over the years, see, there was a debate this week, and that's a long answer, and I will let you have a go.
That's all right.
So David Moyes is very bitter, right? Since he's left, he's gone on Simon Jordan's podcast, and he's saying, I don't even know what the West Ham way is. There's this thing, the West Ham way. You know, and Allardyce poo-pooed it as well. Allardyce went as far as to say, I always remembered Bobby Moore as more of a Fulham player. Come on, bro. Right? Come on. You know what you're doing. You know what you're doing.
Fired.
Yeah, exactly right. You're being a dick, right? So Moyes went on, they said he didn't understand what the West Ham way. The West Ham way means more than that. What the West Ham way means to West Ham fans, and you will tie in with a point, right? Is you get the ball down on the floor, and you play football, right? You play attacking football. You might not win, right? We used to traditionally, and we probably still do, lose more than we win, but we always have a go and we play football the right way. So everybody knows their role. Everybody's consistent, right? And we all have a go. And whether we win or lose or draw, you give everything for the shirt and the fans will love you. Like we loved Colt Hero. We loved Ian Dowie. Because he wasn't spectacular. I mean, he was a bit of a looker, I'll give you, right? But he would run himself. He would run himself. That's another one. Top 10 best looking footballers. I'm going for Dowie, Beardsley. We'll throw a few in. That's another episode.
Let's go Tevez.
See how many people we
Chadwick.
Luke Chadwick, that's a beauty. We'll come back to that. Look, I would rather a team in the sort of, that's just touching on the West Ham way. It's a cultural thing as well. It means things off the pitch, but play the game in the right way. Everybody gives 100%. You put the running in, you battle for every ball, you play for the shirt. I would rather a team of consistent 8s out of 10s every week doing that. And some you win and some you don't. However, in answering your question finally, as a striker, I want those bits of magic behind me. When it seems hopeless, I might not get nothing for 89 minutes. If I've got someone like a first person that pops into my mind, it's like a prime Jack Wilshere or something. They're just low centre of gravity, can turn on a ball and just pop a perfectly weighted ball through for me to just finish. Mate, I'm taking that all day long. But you don't get consistency with those players. How about you?
So just in what you're saying then, so what you're saying is that with the West Ham way, because when you said the West Ham way, instantly in my head popped in, I always thought straight away, promoting youth, ball on the ground, fast play, attacking from wide, and being slightly open at the back for the opportunity to have a chance to go forward. That's what I thought of when you said West Ham.
How do you get it as a Liverpool fan when apparently David Moyes doesn't get it and Allardyce doesn't get it? He said that he asked Ferguson and Fergie didn't get it either. He hasn't managed West Ham, he doesn't know. It came from Ron Greenwood. It was a certain way of playing. There were certain drills. It was the way you trained the youth, you trained the kids. He was doing the whole smaller ball and playing it out from the back and playing it out, not letting the keeper boot it up. He was doing that years before it came into vogue, right? And they don't get that and they poo-poo it and they think it's a fallacy thing. So for me, the team is more important than the individual.
Yeah, so that's what I thought when you said West Ham. But then on the flip side of it, if the team is more important than the individual, surely then West Ham should have stuck with people like Allardyce and Moyes, purely because their ethos was the team are better to not concede and then go and try and nick at a goal rather than be a little bit open to create spaces for the 10 or the winger to do something out of nothing. So maybe I'm looking at it as the wrong sort of way as what you're saying, but if the team is important, the team unit, you have to defend as the unit, you have to attack as the unit. While with the individual talent and the players, and more towards where I've looked at the West Ham way, you allow certain players that have the freedom to do the bits of magic, your Di Canios, I know you didn't play a lot, but Paolo Fulce, who played for you, those sort of players have that ability to do something like
Porfirio, players like that, yeah.
Yeah, like even go as far as like Trevor Sinclair, he had that in him. Just do something out, a bit of magic. So, but when we spoke about the Joe Cole incident with on a previous podcast with Chelsea, that part of the West Ham way was coached out of him for the benefit of the team. So was it? I know I'd rather watch the attacking. Maybe I'd rather play in that attacking part. But for the team, if the team is more important, then surely that sort of flair needs to be limited for the benefit of the team.
No, because the West Ham way was about playing football the right way, i.e. attacking, flair, football. Look, the players you just mentioned there were all under Harry Redknapp, the players you just referenced, and he played in that fashion. You know, when we moved, when the ethos was handed down from Ron Lyle, from Greenwood down to John Lyle, he played that way. We had players like Devonshire. I don't know if you, as a Liverpool fan, have seen much of Alan Devonshire. Oh my goodness! Like the things he could do with a ball then on those pitches, you just imagine. And it's another topic we've got coming up. It's players in different eras, like. He's another one. When you see what he used to do, like his pace down the wing and the dribbling and the balls, the passing, the weight of pass, like players like Trevor Brooking. Like when you see what they could do then, like they were quick enough and smart enough and skillful enough to play the ball on the floor. They would both step into the modern game. Like they could both play in the conditions now. It's frightening when your pitch is like a carpet rather than like a waterlogged mud bath. You know, So those players played that way under those managers. Moyes was the total opposite, the antithesis of playing the West Ham way because he was so defensive. It was so safety first. I'll tell you what it was. People that likes the talk sport and pundits were saying, even Rio, what do West Ham fans want? What do West Ham fans want? Right? You know, Moyes has got you to top six and he's won your trophy, blah, 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 blah. Well, the same people 2 months later going, Southgate's got to go. I can't watch this football. I can't watch this talent and all these players. Like Southgate was 10% of what we watched every week with Moyes. So he was the opposite of that. Yeah. So I understand the team unit was more about everybody playing for the shirt and playing for each other. There was no elimination of flair. Back to your point. You know what I mean?
Not elimination. Like the reason I say that is I'm a fullback, right? And I've played against some talented footballers. I look at it is I can keep that person quiet. In fact, let me flip that around. I've played with some talented footballers, right? The most frustrating thing to see is when they keep doing or trying something like trying that magic, right? I understand you have to try to get it. I get that. But when let's say the left winger or say the right winger, whichever, is trying to take on the fullback with a bit of skill or a bit of trickery out of nothing or a bit of magic, and he's lost the ball 3 or 4 times. That's the part of it where you have to allow that player the freedom to do that. But then
because on the 5th time he puts you through and you score.
But the 4 times you lose it before, they've gone down the other end and made things dangerous. So there's a player. Any of the lads that from my old team will know. Probably the most talented footballer, naturally gifted footballer I've ever played with was a player called Curtis McCabe. Right, he was my age. I played against him when he was at Beaumont Town and all these, like growing up in the under 15s or the 16s or the 17s. Never an issue for me. He was quick, right? He was just quick at the time, and I could keep up with it. Brilliant. Played against him maybe 7 years later, and he had developed the skills. He literally could strike a ball, the sweetest I've ever seen. Imagine Huddleston style, the way he's just stroked through the ball. But the venom and power on it was insane. He had the skills, he had the drop of the shoulders, he was fast, he was upper body big, so he could muscle people around it. But he'd get to that point where he'd do the man and then turn back and try and do him again. And then turn back and try and do him again. And instead of crossing it, he'd lose the ball.
So was it an ego thing?
Well, I think that's just how he enjoyed to play. It wasn't a team mentality where, right, I've done him, let's see what I can do for the team. It was very much, I've done him, now I'm going to do him again to get 5 yards closer to the goal instead of delivering from that position. So I look at that. Fair play to him. His way of football was entertaining to watch, to play with. Got to be one of the most frustrating players to play with because he was so good, right? And that's where I look at the point of what you're saying. That individual talent comes with those certain caveats of he will lose the ball probably more times than he'll do something with it. But that 2 or 3 times he does something with it will cause the defense so much hassle, so much danger that they might drop 5 yards deep, or they might create a space for someone else. Is that?
But that's why the answer is in 2 different contexts. If you're a teammate, let's go the other side first. If you're a fan and you're watching your team, right?
Yeah.
You want your attacking midfielder to be consistent and not keep giving the ball away. If you're a manager, you certainly want everybody doing their role, right? But if you're a striker, as you asked me in a different context, like I'm happy for you if you're playing centre mid and you're the creative, like you're the wonder kid, the genius, right? By the way, Tom Huddleston is one that would have been all right for the episode we recorded recently as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Jack Wiltshire.
Yeah. If I'm the centre forward and you're the creative midfielder, your job's to create. I'm all right with you trying 9 passes that don't come off, and it's 0-0, and I've had nothing, and it's been a stinker. I've had no for that genius, well-weighted pass that puts me through on the 89th minute that I finish and we win the game. Mm-hmm. That's why it's a different angle from what's more important. Team unit, but what do you want behind you?
As a striker, right? You're doing your little 5-10 yard runs around the 18-yard box. It's falling to your Ozil sort of player to try and lay you in. 9 times don't come off. The 10th time it gets you through. Pressure's now on you to score. So you score or not, whatever. Would you prefer that, or have the team mentality where you will consistently be given 6 or 7 either side into the box for you to attack, because the team is set up to do that rather than relying on one individual? You've got the left winger, right winger, left back, right back to be able to put those balls into you to give you the numbers, but they get also then on the flip side of it, you have no support at top. You just go on your own holding it all because then as a unit defensive. What would you as a striker prefer? They consistently deliver it, which makes you give you a 50-50, or that one possible chance of a player sliding you in on goal.
But is it mutually exclusive? Like, are the rest of the team like playing it easy to me? Am I making it, or because if not, if the rest of the team are all contributing, you're the fullback, you're getting crosses over as well. You know, everyone else, there's still service coming, and I'm getting chances, and my runs are not wasted, because there's nothing worse than a centre forward than keep making a run, the ball doesn't come. Like, especially it gets to the point where you know someone's not coming. What'd you say?
I used to whisper into players' ears. Like, why has he done that? Why did he not give that to you? I used to be in players' ears so much. And delivering the ball, and I'd be like, how's he done that? You were free, you got the wrong side of it. What's wrong with him? How can he not do that ball? And you see him going mad.
Yeah, it's a killer. You know, if the rest of the team are laying it on and doing their job, and there's still the rest of the team doing that, right? And your creative midfielder is messing about with it 9 times out of 10, right? Then I'm all right to wait for that one perfect one that's a sitter. But if you're telling me, if you're asking me mutually exclusive, everyone else is maybe you're playing away at a much better team, and everyone else is just defending and containing. They're not giving you anything, and you're watching him when the ball could come over and mess it up 9 times out of 10. Then I'd rather the team unit. But if you're saying that the average chances are coming, and it's up to you as a centre forward to put them away, or just wait for that little bit of magic, but when it comes, it's on a plate, then I'm taking that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, see, I would look at it as for the team style of play, you can have a way to work it. So if, say, for example, you did go for crosses. If you're going for crosses, you know you're working into the box. You, as a forward, can make the runs when you know the players. I just think with a team mentality and an individual player, that one time he gets away, you have to be on the ball ready for it. If you've been making these runs for 89 minutes and then what's the point of making the run? Then the ball is there, you have to be on point. Then you've got to finish, and then you've got to read the pass. Like he might have done a dummy run to create the space, or dropped in the right to come to the left. I think if you with one individual player, I think you've got to be so on the ball and so alert, and there's so many things that can go wrong. Well, with a team mentality, I think then again, maybe you could do both. Maybe you could set up your team to create the chances for him in a more consistent basis. So maybe you could have like a 4-4-2 and give him the free role to come off the centre backs and you push them back. And so maybe it's one of those, maybe it's horses and courses.
There's the answer. There, you've hit on it. And we spoke about players like Payet, who could do a bit of magic on his own, but he didn't have to do any defending. The rest of the team done his running for him. We talked in another show about Letitia. He was another one of them players. That's why you always going to want a Letitia. Eh?
An absolute maverick.
That's what I'm saying. But you need a maverick. So yeah, it's interesting, which leads us nicely on to my subject I want to talk about. Does a team need a rebel? Not just creatively, but does a team need a player that's a bit of a maverick? Because we want a lovable role. We all love a bastard, don't we? Look at like players that you hate when they're on the other team, right? But Palace loved him. Zaha didn't stop moaning, mate. Like, he did not stop moaning, and he used to get under my skin watching him play against us. Same with Marko Arnautovic. When he plays for other teams and you play against him, you think, you dickhead, mate. As soon as he comes to play for your team, scores, kisses the badge, does the irons. Yeah, same. Paquetá, we talk about him a lot. He's like off the field issues at the moment. Yeah. If another player went that, and I don't like this, when he goes down fainting injury and holding his face and rolling around, I don't like all that, right? But I don't like all that. But when he's your bastard, but he's your bastard.
Yeah.
Right? You love him, don't you? Like, if he was on the other team to me, I would be thinking, like, I don't like you. But it's important to have that kind of cat. And I'll tell you why. Answer that, and then I'll give you a story I heard yesterday.
Well, I can go similar to that, but maybe flip. There's certain players that I love to watch play at other clubs, but I'd hate them.
Wouldn't want them in your club.
Yeah. They're like Joey Barton. I mean, as a footballer, I think he's very underrated. He was a very, very good footballer.
Robbie Savage.
No, never a good footballer.
No, but you liked watching him play, but you wouldn't want him in your team. But if he was in your team, you'd get behind him for being a bastard.
Savage. Those sort of players. Like, I get what you're saying. Yeah. So they just have that. There's certain people, well, especially like playing out in Spain, that don't like to be touched, don't like to be like any sort of roughhouser or anything like that. So players like Barton would be able to do that so easily. He's Savage. It's just, apparently Savage was supposedly a talker through the game, such a bell. There's a story of him, I think it's Dean Windass, where he's giving Dean Windass loads all game. And then after, I think he gets Dean Windass like out of his game, like his head's gone. He gets hooked after 70 minutes and he's like, right, I'm going to do Savage. In the players' lounge afterwards, Savage is talking to an older couple. And as Dean Windass comes up, you can see it in his eyes what he's looking to do. And he's like, hi, Dean, all right, yeah, good game today. Have you met my mum and dad? So Dean Windass has gone, oh, right, yeah, cheers, yeah. Walked off. And then Jerry Taggart has said to him, like, what are you going to do him? Can't do it in front of his mum and dad. And Taggart started laughing and going, that's not his mum and dad. He just said that to get away.
No way.
Yeah, just an old couple that were there. And he said it to get away.
Mate, that's class, isn't it? That's sledging, like in cricket, like sledging is a big thing, isn't it? Like the whole thing about Mike Gattin, Fat Gat, they used to call him this to say, like, why are you so fat? Wicketkeeper, why are you so fat? He hit a 6 and he went, because every time I shag your wife, she gives me a biscuit.
That's some biscuit draw, that.
That's it, yeah. I heard a story. The reason I posed this question is because we all love a maverick, but does a team need a rebel more than just for on the pitch, right? So I listened to a West Ham podcast called The West Ham Way. So shout out to Dave and X, because it's brilliant. It's absolutely class on Patreon over there. So they have a weekly podcast with Mad Dog, Martin Allen. And Martin Allen had a really decent managerial career. He's been at Barnet like 5 or 6 times. He holds the record for the most times as a manager at a club, but he's also been at like Gillingham and, of course, Brentford. Your hometown, he managed Leicester, didn't he?
Yeah, Leicester,
Mandarich.
Yeah.
So he was telling a story about he went away on pre-season training. Somebody asked a question about, what's your routine? What things you do to get? Is it just about fitness? And a similar thing that actually a few days before we talked about the importance of pre-season results. So somebody asked in the questions, sort of what was your routine? What's needed? Is it about tactics? Is it about getting fitness minutes in the legs? And they were talking about the camaraderie, and he went in a different direction than I was expecting. He said they all went away for some like warm weather training pre-season somewhere. I forget, it could have been Greece or Spain or Portugal. They went away on holiday, the whole squad and all the backroom staff. And Dave, the host, he posed the question. He said, so what do you do? Like, what's the balance? Like, do you allow them to have a drink and have a fun? And then there's the benefit of the team bonding and the old school, like all having a beer together and a night out, makes you a unit. But it's a slippery slope because it's also pre-season. You've got to make sure people are on weight, get their fitness back. You don't want to have people overindulging. So he said, and he explained in longer form than I will, that it was like a juggling act to make sure they all had days out. They all went like paintballing on one day. So they had the old team building thing. They all went out for a few beers and whatnot. On the last day, he went in like the supermarket and bought all the beers for them and like a load of food and buffet and said, look, you can do what you want. Every night they were allowed to stay in a hotel, but they had to be back in their rooms by 12 midnight or something. But they could stay and have a drink in the hotel in the evening. But the next day, 2 training sessions, 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, blah, 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 get yourself a sleep in or whatever. And then he said on the last night, because it was the last night they were there, they said, Gaffer, any chance of having a night out? So he went, yeah, you can all have a night out, go into town. They all wanted to go to a nightclub. He said, go out, but the curfew's 2. As long as I can trust you all to get back by 2. So he stayed in his room. He let 2 members of his coaching staff go out with the lads. They all went out and had a great time. 2:30, knock on his hotel room. So he thinks, strange. He's still up watching TV in the room. Opens the door. 2 of his senior coaches, right, both standing there looking proper sheepish. All right, Gaffer, can we have a quick word with you? So he thinks, I know there's something wrong. So he says, yeah, come in. What's the matter? So you can tell they're like 2 schoolboys, right? Like these, older gents. So I said, look, Gaffer, I've got to tell you. He said, we managed to get everybody home. Everybody was home at 2 a.m. on the dot. Like, no one was out of order. Lads all had a few beers and they had a good time, but there was, no incidents, no stealing taxis, no prostitutes, no one really, really inebriated. He said, and they're all back in bed, but like 5 to 2. It's all good. And he said, well, that's great. What's the problem? I said, Gaffer, I don't know how to tell you this. He said, we got the boys home. The club's open till 4, so we fancied one more. So we crept out. This is coaching staff. We crept out to have one more. When we got back to the club, we bumped into 2 of the players that had done the same thing and crept out the window and gone back. Now, the coaches are shitting themselves because they've been found out, and the players are shitting themselves because the coaches are found out. He said, so I've had to tell you, because it was this player and this player. Now, it was 2 senior players of his, right? So he went, all right, thanks for telling me. I'll see you in the morning. I'll speak to you all in the morning. So he thinks about what he's going to do. Next morning, calls his coaches back. He says, look, I've had a think. Look, I'm disappointed you broke my trust here. Here's what you're going to do. You're each going to stick 20 quid in the kitty. We're going out for lunch today before we get on the coach to go to the airport. You're paying towards the lunch, right? Get gone. That was it with the coaches. 2 senior players come in. One was the top goal scorer. One was the captain. So he says, what's gone on here? I say, Gaffer, I don't know why. I don't even know why we've done it. We just decided, we had a couple of beers. We wanted a few more, like a few birds in there. We wanted a little mooch about. We ended up coming home, and then we crept back there and obviously got caught by your coaches. So he says, listen, why would you go against what I've told you to do? I've been good to you, lads. I've bought you beers. We've gone paintballing. We've had team building exercise. I've let you stay up every night in the hotel having a beer. Like I could have been really strict. And I've not done that. I've let you have a crack. He said, so I'm disappointed. So they said, I'm sorry, Gaffer. We'd understand if you want to, fire us or drop us from the team or whatever. Like, what do you want to do? So he said, right, well, here's what you're going to do. You're going to pay 100 quid each into the kitty. We're all going out for pizza before we go. We're going to have like the cheap meal. We're all going to go out. You're paying for all the lads to have pizza, as well as the coaches that were out after curfew, and you're paying for the lot. So he said, that's the end of it. He said, I shook their hands and I let them go. And I said, right, well, that's it. That's case closed now. That's the issue finished. So people are scratching their head now. He said, they went out, they had the pizza. He went back. Then he referenced, he said, 2 weeks ago, he said, Roy Keane was telling a story on ITV where he had a similar thing happen at Sunderland. And he said, I sent the boys and I said they could all go out and come back at 2. He went, everyone and came back at 2. He went, I knew then we wouldn't win anything. I knew then we wouldn't stay up. And Martin Allen said, although there is a line and I need to be in control, you need outliers from the norm. He said, I knew then it was a pivotal moment because I needed both them players. And I knew that there's times where, as much as I give them instructions, they've got to take the initiative on the pitch. There'll be times when they've got to deviate from the plan because it's the right thing to do. He said, we won that league and went up as champions. And I wouldn't have been able to do it without those 2 players. And you need rebels in your team and you need people that are going to stand by their own convictions and personality and bring their personality in because there's times when players need to stand up. He said, so secretly, I wanted a couple of them to break the rules because if everybody came back and did as they were told, it was too regimented. He said, I still need discipline and they still need to know who's the boss. He said, but I was disappointed. He said, I knew then we'd be all right. He said, and we won that and went up as champions. Thoughts on that? Fascinating story.
Interesting, that, isn't it? Like, I get that. There's rebels in regards to, see, I like the story and I like the way that it's set out. And I get it. Like, you need people, like, there's certain times on the pitch you can't have the manager just telling you everything. Right, go left, go right, go right. I understand that. Where sometimes you chase your man into the wrong areas, and sometimes you do something off the cuff. But I like it. I like the idea of it. So, but maybe is that what you need now, with how different the game is now, with every team playing a bit more defensive and one striker? Would that sort of thing fly nowadays, or do you think that was when football had the personalities, the characters, those sort of, and you had the little free bit, maybe it wasn't as regimented, the players weren't as athletic, and it was a bit more open of a game, but I don't know, what do you think?
That's a great point. I think that comes back to what makes a captain and what makes a leader conversation. I think it's about having a melting pot of personalities in the dressing room, you know, like I mentioned about in the youth players podcast about young Elise. There's a story also with him where one of the youth players put something inappropriate up. I forget what it was. It wasn't like terrible. It wasn't like racism or anything, but he put something on Twitter that maybe he shouldn't, was getting a bit of flack. And by the time he was called into the chairman's office the next morning, he said, oh, it's been taken down. It's gone. I've apologised. And they said, well, who called you? And he said, oh, Elise, whatever his name was. Like, he called me out and said, yeah, you can't be doing that. So he was a proper captain, even at that age. Yeah. So I think you need those personalities that take responsibility, because they'll take responsibility on the pitch as well and off the pitch. And back to the question, and it ties in so beautifully with what we started with, and it's almost strange that we both had a similar thing. You need those rebels on the pitch. You need those Mavericks. You need those Matthew Letizier's on the pitch that just have a spark or something else. You know, you need those around a dressing room. Because didn't Pep say a quote, and I'm going to butcher it, something along the lines of, I can coach my players, and you know what I'm going to say, once you get over the halfway line, it's basically down to the players.
I've never read that one.
Have you not? Yeah, he said something along the lines of, you can coach and you can have instructions, but at this level, the players are so good that once you're over the halfway line, it's basically down to the players to do the right thing and make the right decision.
Maybe his Man City players are.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It depends on the levels and it depends on that.
Yeah.
Mate, that's mad. That's another great episode. Before we go, have you got an unpopular opinion, or do you want to do obscure players?
I've got an obscure player written down, and I'm hoping you know him. Right, so I'll tell you what we'll do.
I've got one written down as well.
Right. If you know this one, we'll do a couple each of the club that you played for, and then we'll leave it for the comments to name the club. All right.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Right. So this one it's mad that I thought of that, and then this is a hard one. Jean-Claude Darcheville.
I recognise the name. I couldn't place the club. I don't know enough about him.
Right. I'll give you another club.
Right.
Another player who played for the same club.
Right.
Scott Gemmell.
So Forest, is it?
Oh, you gave it away. You're not supposed to say the club because then they can guess it.
Sorry. Yeah, but just because we've already done Forest in another episode, haven't we?
All right, you do one. Go on. You do one. The name popped up earlier, and I was like, Jean-Claude Darcheville. Well,
so tell me about him. Remind me of him.
He was a big striker that played up front in Forest. I think Stan Collymore era. I think, and he was rubbish. When you look at someone and think, how have you got a game?
Right, so I'll name a player.
Yeah.
We'll go back and forth, and people in the comments can name the club, right?
Yeah.
Daly and Atkinson.
I think we've done this club, but let's do it anyway.
Have we?
I'm sure we have. If I was to say to you, I don't want to say it's a player we've already named. If I was to say to you, Lee Hendra.
That was up my sleeve. Super Gary Charles.
Oh. Is it Gary Charles or Gary Charles?
What?
His name was Gary Charles, wasn't it?
Yes, what I said, Super Gary Charles.
Oh, I thought you said Childs. Like, who's Childs?
Childs, Gary Childs.
Oh, Gary Childs. The accent. Doing me, bro.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is, yeah.
Let's go with Dean
Goodwiller.
David Goodwiller. Dean Saunders.
Cracking. Dean Saunders. Oh, mate. Tommy, who we had on an episode recently, sent me a cracking video with Dean Saunders. Have you seen it?
No.
Oh, mate, it's brilliant. Just quickly, he's in front of Brian Clough, and he potentially wants to sign him, and he's round someone like Archie Gemmell's house or something, right? And he's like really eccentric, saying, right, Dino, and he's like sat there, and he's like, do you like his garden? He was like, yeah. He's like, do you like flowers? He was like, yeah, lovely gaffer, right? And he's saying he's like, do you like me? And he was like, yeah. And it was later on, the agent's like, right, let's talk about money. How much? Like, never mind you, fatso, to his agent. He's going, you don't need that. He likes flowers, and he loves me, and he likes flowers. So he's like, right, Archie, go and get him flowers out of that flower pot. And he's getting him to rip flowers out of the root and come and like present it to him in the living room. Take them on with you. Have them flowers. Like, it's just so off the wall. I've got to send you it. It's really mad. What was his name? Alan Wright, was it?
Alan Wright, the left back.
Yeah, bald head, wasn't it?
Tony Daly.
Tony Daly was one up my sleeve, and he was the reason I said about this era. So he was the winger that had all the pace, all the tricks, couldn't cross. He even got an England cap, and he's another one that faded into obscurity, didn't he?
Yeah, he should have been up front there, shouldn't he?
Yeah. Bosnich is too obvious. Was it Mark Churchill?
Mark Churchill, he was a striker. Played for Leeds as well. We're not obviously it's a different club we're talking about now.
Yeah.
You don't like this one. I might butcher his name. We'll do one more each. Right. Ricardo Schumacher.
Yeah, I remember him. Schumacher, yeah. We did the other day. We've done same team. You could argue the same team, right? So there's some honourable mentions, because there's some we named in other teams. We said Julian Joachim for another team the other day. We said Franz Carr. Rolf Fox, Franz Carr. Dwight York, too obvious. Bosnich, too obvious. Savo Milicevic.
Oh, you know what? I knew you were going to say a striker, but I actually had one written down that I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say Juan Pablo Angel.
Juan Pablo Angel.
So if anyone knows what team we were talking about, pop it in the comments. If you've got any other players you want to drop it in there.
Absolutely. Look, and it's really important, we say every episode, that you interact with us in the comments. If you're not subscribed, get yourself subscribed. We're going to try and keep the content coming thick and fast. Listen, good episode. Thank you so much, Kanye. Thanks, everybody. I hope you're still enjoying. Again, let us know. Like, subscribe, interact. Give us your topics or subjects that you want brought up on the show, and we'll talk about it. Anything that you disagree with, It's really important you let us know. And we're getting more and more guests on. We just had Tommy on, like we said at the top of the show. A few more guests coming up. The next few days, we're gonna get it on. Come on and have your shout. It's not just about us. We're building it from the bottom. We're trying to build a community. Anything else before we go, Kanye?
Listen, get yourself subscribed, get yourself on there, put your comments in. Even if you don't fancy coming on, put your opinions on one of the videos, and one of us will represent you. One of us will be for you. The other one will play Devil's Avocado.
Devil's Avocado. That's what we'll do. Mate, love it.
And
so
we'll
until next time on
Opinions from Offside.
We'll see you soon, folks. Thanks for having us.
There you go. See ya.